Marty, thanks so much for having us out here. The largest wastewater agency in Nevada since 1956, 260,000 customers. Tell me all about the Clean Water team.
Randy, we refer to ourselves as the hidden utility. And for the simple reason that when you talk to a customer and you say, you flick a light switch, the light bulb comes on, you can see the electricity you're paying for. Turn the knob, the gas comes on for your stove. You can see the natural gas. Turn the tap, clean drinking water comes out. Everyone can see what they're paying for with those utilities. But with us, our service begins when the water goes down the drain or the person flushes a toilet, and we become out of sight and out of mind.
Tell me about this water here. Where has this water come from? Where's it going?
So sometime yesterday, this was dirty water. It was going down the drain. It was in the kitchen sink. It was being washed down the shower drain, or was being flushed down the toilet. In homes as far away as Summerlin, hotel rooms along the Strip, but all those areas in unincorporated Clark County, residents, businesses, hotels, making its way down to the treatment facility. It went through treatment processes we call physical, chemical, biological, 12 to 18 hours until it comes out the far end of the treatment plant. And this is what you see going past is clean water, making its way to Las Vegas Wash, back out to Lake Mead, and becoming part of our water cycle.
I know your mission didn't change during the coronavirus pandemic. You've literally treated water every single day for the past 64 years. But how did the COVID crisis affect your work out here at the district?
Well, the first thing, of course, is the water never stops. Good times and bad, healthy, unhealthy times. The water's going to come down the drain. It's going to get flushed down the toilet. So we've got to do our job. We've got to gather it, and we've got to clean it. So first, the job never stops. And during the pandemic, we had to learn a lot of lessons. We had to figure out how business-wise to work with fewer people in areas that were used to working close into each other. Our folks on the operations side had to keep doing their jobs every day. Our folks in the laboratories had to be working every day doing their tests and proving that the water was as clean as required. So those tasks never ended. So we had to figure out, how do we incorporate the social distancing? How do we work with facial coverings on when we have to communicate with each other? It's been challenging, but the work's been done every single day. The laboratory tests back up. That water is clean as it's supposed to be and meet our regulations every single day.
Marty, you talked about construction, and even as you were driving us around your massive facility here on Flamingo, you have capital improvement projects going on. Tell me about them.
Well, again, even in tough times with the economy taking the hit, we know growth's going to come back. We know people are still going to move here. This is a community of choice. So we've got to accommodate that growth, and we've got to have the infrastructure in place. So that construction work hasn't stopped during this time. This year we'll spend over $75 million on our capital improvement program. Next year we'll be back to our normal average of $100 million. And for the next 15 plus years, we'll spend an average of $100 million a year. And that's providing both new capacity as our community grows, but also, just as importantly, we keep reinvesting in the infrastructure.
Marty, public outreach is always a big facet of what you do out here at the district, and everything from your pain in the drain. You guys have a lot of fun with what you're doing. You've got your 3 Ps, you've got your fog, you've got your don't rush to flush. Tell me about your public outreach and why it's so important to get the word out there.
Well, you're right. We do have fun with the messaging, because when you say the word poop, people smile. There's something about that word. So working that into the messaging to get people's attention has been important. Here's the practical side. People in our community have learned to become good stewards when it comes to conserving drinking water. Now we're working on them to becoming good stewards to protect clean water. And so it's understanding what's the proper way to dispose of household waste, whether it's scraps in the kitchen, being thrown in the trash and not down the garbage disposal, taking unused or expired pharmaceutical medicines, or lastly, and this is what we're really emphasizing right now, is don't rush to flush. Only flush 3 Ps, and I'll just say clearly, the third P is toilet paper. I'm assuming you and everyone watching knows what the other 2 Ps are standing for. But that's the message, because nothing else belongs in the wastewater system. If people are using these wonderful products, these personal wipes, or what we've seen really during the pandemic is people using more and more of the wipes, the disinfecting wipes on counter surfaces, anything to keep their home clean, those need to be thrown in the trash. They're not intended to go down into the wastewater system. And this is where the big challenge comes in. In the last few years in the personal care product industry, we've had this incredible growth of what's called flushable wipes. The industry manufactures a great product they're soft, they're durable, they do the job, but they're not intended to be flushed into a wastewater system. They don't break down the way toilet paper does. They end up causing clogs in people's plumbing at their homes. They end up causing clogs in the street in the pipelines, or they end up damaging equipment in the treatment processes at stations and plants. And not just here. This is not just a Las Vegas community problem. This is a nationwide and now even international problem as the use of these products have grown exponentially. They're a great product. We're not going to take an issue with that, but they've got to be thrown in the trash, not flushed.
How could you show that? If only you had some water, perhaps, it would show something.
Oh,
such as
I'm
these
so
things.
glad you asked. We call these our famous jars. We take these wherever we go because this is the best way we get to get people's attention. This is a jar with little wisps of toilet paper. That's all that's left in there. And in a matter of minutes, when we put the toilet paper squares in that jar, they broke down just as they're designed to do. And so they don't cause a problem. They'll float along in the stream in the pipes, and they'll be removed at the treatment plant with no problem whatsoever. They do their job they're designed to do and don't cause any other issues. But this is where it gets more complicated. You see at the bottom of this jar? That's a flushable wipe.
This is a flushable wipe.
And if you were to look closely, I don't know how good a shot you can get on the camera, it doesn't look like it's broken down at all. It's a very well-made, durable product, but we put it in this jar a couple of years ago.
A couple of years ago?
Yes. I was going to say 2. My colleague thinks it's 3. This is a great product. It's going to do the job really well on any surface you wipe, but it's not going to break down in the wastewater stream. This is going to be a problem. It could be a problem in someone's home and clog their plumbing. It could be a problem in the streets and we could have raw sewage on the ground. Or it could end up in a treatment plant or a lift station clogging expensive equipment and machinery that could result in a really expensive repair.
So where would that be in the process here? Where could that end up if it makes it, say, this far down to the street?
If it makes it all the way to the treatment plant, it's going to get trapped at the front end. And if it doesn't get trapped properly in what we call a bar screen, then it has the potential to get into machinery, pumping, or motors, and there it can cause clogs and it's going to break equipment down.
Marty, lastly, I know there was a proposed rate hike that was supposed to be passed on to, I believe, your residential and your business customers. What did you guys decide to do with that?
Well, going back 2 years ago, we're looking ahead to our capital improvement program, and we had a Citizens Advisory Committee review our rate structure, review our capital and our operational programs, and they came back with a recommendation for the Board of Trustees to have a series of rate hikes over the next 10 years, strictly to fund the capital program. And so that rate structure was implemented in 2019, and on July 1 of 2020, we would have had a slight increase to both the sewer service fee that all customers pay and the connection fee, which is strictly the one-time charge that the construction industry pays. But our board, which is the county commissioners and the role as the trustees, looking at the economic situation of our community, looking at our capital improvement program, felt the right thing to do was hold off that rate structure increase for 6 months, reassess it in the fall. Again, we'll get input from our Citizens Advisory Committee and reassess it and determine whether we can go forward on January or take some other action.
All right. Well, terrific information. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Marty. Thank you so much.
Great to have you here. Enjoy the view of that clean water.